and I'm going to go over with you some of the keys to success, and then we're going to go over several examples so you can really learn about how to do the IELTS exam for the listening section very, very well. It's all about understanding the method and the strategy for doing it. It's not simply just listening. Okay, it's not simply just listening. That's not what it's about. It's about more than that. And so let's go through some of these things. All right, the test is a total of about 40 minutes. It takes about 30 minutes to do the actual sections 1 through 4. And then you always have 10 minutes at the end to be able to write your answers down, take your answers from the answer sheets, take your answers from the test booklet to the answer sheets. Okay? And next, in terms of section 1 and section 2, you have 4 sections on IELTS listening. You have 4 sections. All the questions go in order. Okay, all the questions go in order. So when you do section 1, you're doing questions 1 to 10, and when they're playing the conversation, they're going to give you the answers in order. They're going to give you the answer to number 1, then the answer to number 2, then the answer to number 3, then number 4. It goes in order. You will never hear the answer to number 4 before you hear the answer to number 2. It will never happen. It doesn't happen that way. The entire test goes in order. In the first section, you're going to hear a conversation between 2 people, and you're going to either have to answer, you're going to have to be able to answer the questions based on the conversation. In section 2 is going to be a monologue. It'll be one person speaking. Both section 1 and section 2 are dealing with some type of social context. I need to go to the airport. Somebody, a athlete is coming to visit a new sports store. It's going to be some kind of social event, social thing happening. Maybe sometimes it may be happening on a university setting. So in sections 1 and 2, that's what we're dealing with. But all the questions go in order. All the questions go in order. Also, it's important to note that for IELTS listening, there are only 2 types of questions. There are only 2 types of questions. It's either going to be fill the blank or it's going to be multiple choice. That's all. Fill the blank or multiple choice. Now, there are different types of multiple choice. There are different types of fill the blank. All right, and we're going to go over how to do each one of those types of questions. In sections 3 and 4, section 3 is a conversation, right? Section 4 is one person speaking. So for the IELTS exam, you have 4 sections. Sections 1 and 3 are conversations. Sections 2 and 4 are one person speaking. Now, for the IELTS exam, for listening, it's very important for you to understand that it gets progressively more difficult. Section 1 is easy, then section 2 is a little bit more difficult, then section 3, then section 4 is the most difficult. So it gets progressively more difficult. So what I tell most students is you want to do great at sections 1 and 2. Be great at sections 1 and 2. Try to get 0 wrong in sections 1 and 2. All right, because if you do great at sections 1 and 2, before you get to section 3, you can possibly already have a 5.5 on the test. Okay? You can already have a 5.5 on the test if you do great at sections 1 and 2. Then when you get to sections 3 and 4, which are more difficult, it's going to be much easier for you to get your IELTS listening score to be a 7 or a 7.5 because you did such a great job at sections 1 and 2. So that's another important note for you to understand. All right. Now, what is IELTS listening? It's not a listening test. It's actually listening comprehension. You have to constantly listen for synonym matching, synonyms. They're always testing you with synonyms. You'll see certain language in the question, but when they're speaking, they use synonyms for that language in the question. And you have to be able to recognize the synonyms because they always attach the answer to the synonyms. Whether it's multiple choice or fill the blank, they attach the answer to the synonyms. In fill the blank questions, they use synonyms for the words that are before or after the blank line. And that's what they're going to attach the answer to. For multiple choice questions, when they're speaking, they'll say the correct answer, that's connected to the language of the question. But then for the answer choice, you have to pick the answer choice that uses synonym language for the answer that they said. All right. Now, when we go through examples, and we're going to go through a lot of examples, when we go through examples, you're going to have an opportunity to be able to see what I'm talking about in real life. What makes the test difficult? Well, number one, the answers come directly one after the other. After you do number 15, they go right to number 16. After number 16, you get into number 17. So there's no time for you to take notes. There's no time for you to take notes. So when you hear an answer, you got to write it down. When you hear something that you think is an answer, you got to write it down. Okay? You must answer right away. You must answer immediately. There's no time to think about it. Okay, there's no time to sit there and think about it or come back to it, because they're constantly moving forward. They're constantly going forward. You have to be ready. Your spelling must be perfect. Okay? If you have one letter wrong, the answer is wrong. Okay? There's no substitute for that. There's no, well, what if I'm not good at spelling? If you're not good at spelling, you're probably going to get a lot wrong. I've known some students to have 15 wrong, and 13 of them were wrong because of spelling. All right? Also, you have to follow the directions very, very well. If they say write no more than 2 words, you cannot write more than 2 words. If you write more than 2 words, your answer is wrong. All right, some keys to scoring highly. Know when spelling is important. On the actual test booklet, you don't have to spell anything correctly. You can abbreviate, you can use shorthand, you can write an answer choice in your own language on the test booklet. However, on the answer sheet, it must be in English and it must be spelled correctly. So if they give you a word you're not sure about how to spell, but you know is the answer, just, for right now, just spell it the best you can. And then at the end, when you have your 10 minutes to transfer your answers, that's when you can focus on spelling it. Write your answers immediately when you hear them. Predictions of answers is so important. In section 1 and sometimes in section 2, you can predict what the answer might be. And it's really important to learn how to do that. Also, underline your keywords so that you know the words the answer is connected to. All right? So we're going to go over these things as we go through the examples. We're going to go through section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4 examples. And you're really going to get a chance to really learn how to do the IELTS listening section with us. Okay? So thank you very much. And let's